بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Thursday, the 11th of November 2021, and in our series Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 276, in which we'll be discussing chapter 2, verse 95, and this is the second broadcast in discussing that verse of the Holy Quran. Let me apologize for not being able to bring you broadcasts on Monday and Wednesday because of some difficulties, etc. I hope you'll bear with us when these things happen. Just to remind you that these broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, also known as the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement, Ahmadiyya Nishat Islam, etc. And its founder was Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who taught us that although people bring another prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the Holy Quran has said the Holy Prophet is the seal of the prophets. And the Holy Prophet said, I am the seal of the prophets. There is no prophet after me. So now no prophet can come, whether an old one or a new one. However, when the Ummah goes astray, then God will send mujaddids to guide them back to the right path. And of course, this will lead to disagreement and so on. And it is good to believe in Mujaddid, the reformer, and his reforms, but it's not necessary for you, to become to be a Muslim. This is not necessary, not a condition of being a Muslim. And the Holy Prophet said that the only thing that's sufficient for people to be regarded as Muslims is their belief in the testimony, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That is sufficient. Nothing more is needed. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also taught us that although people say that the Holy Quran is incomplete and some prophetic revelation is missing from the Holy Quran, this is incorrect. God has said that I reveal the Holy Quran and I will guard over it. So how can anything be missed out from it? All prophetic revelation is in the Holy Quran. And similarly, people say that some verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated or cancelled. Again, Hazrat Sahib said this is completely wrong. No verse of the Holy Quran was ever abrogated or will ever be abrogated. Such beliefs leave Islam open to dangerous criticism. As we see all over the world, when we say Islam is a religion of peace, it says La ikraha fid din. The objector, the non-Muslim, will immediately say, well, that verse has been abrogated. But so it opens Islam to all manner of contradiction. And most important of all, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that jihad is the duty of every single Muslim. Constant jihad. But jihad is defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who, when returning from fighting, said that Muslims were returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad, and then went on to explain that the major jihad is jihad bin nafs, a struggle within your own self to purify yourself, to overcome your negative and bad desires. The list of such things such desires is a long one. I needn't dwell upon it or go into it in detail. So, as I said, we are looking at verse 95 of Al-Baqarah, and this is the second broadcast in that series. So let's turn to that. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولن يتمنوه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. When I read the translation, I will add the translation of the previous verse to it as well. So the previous verse says, say, if the abode of the hereafter with Allah is only for you and excludes other people, then invoke death if you are truthful. And this verse then says, and they will never invoke it because of what their hands have sent on before. And Allah knows the wrongdoers. So as I said, today's words are qaddamat and aydihim. So let me find my notes and we'll have a look at them. Bear with me. The first word, its triliteral root is of dal mim, and we find it in the Holy Quran 48 times in 8 forms, 27 times as qaddama, and 8 times as qadam, and 4 times as yastaqdimu, and 3 times as qadim, and twice as taqaddama, and once as mustaqdimin. And for example, chapter 11, verse 98, yaqdumu qawmuhu. He will proceed in front of his people. وَقَدِمْنَا إِلَى مَا عَمِلُوا. chapter 25, verse 23, and we will proceed. And again, sent ahead, like here. Qaddamat aydihim, sent forth, ma taqaddamu. Advanced, chapter 12, verse 48. Qaddamtum, sent forth. Qaddamat. Again, proceed. Taqaddama, chapter 48, verse 2. And to advance again, proceed. Yastaqdimun, chapter 7, verse 34. Chapter 10, verse 49. And it also refers to people in the past. Antum wa abaukumul aqdamun, and your forefathers. And of course, the noun, which means feet, aqdamana, our feet, bihil aqdam, your feet, qadama sidqin inda rabbihim, that means a superior position, respectable position. Qadamun, a foot. Aqdamakum, your feet. And of course, adjective, qadim, as in chapter 12, verse 95, and so on. Chapter 46, verse 11. So, I magnified the screen to make it easy for me to read, which is very good, but it's made it difficult for me to find the thing, find my notes. Here we are. I have two sets of notes. Let me get both of them at the beginning. Right, here we are. So, al-qadamu, that means a human foot. And aqdamun is the plural. And the Holy Quran says, Vayu thabbita bihil aqdam, chapter 8, verse 11. And he kept you steadfast. So this, from this comes the word taqaddum. And now this taqaddum can be in many different ways. It can be because of your station. So and so has taqaddum, is superior to someone else. For example, they both left school together, and John is now better, superior than Peter or whoever. Maybe he's got a better job, maybe he's politically in a better position, or he has more money, or whatever. It also applies to things, things on which other things depend for their existence. For example, if we didn't have the 0, we can't have number 10 or 20 or 100. So you will say that the existence of number 20 depends on the existence of 0. We know this from Roman numerals, don't you? That we had 1, 2, 3. These were literally 1 line, 2 line, 3 line vertical lines. And then you had a different symbol for 5, a V. So, what's 4? Well, it could be 4 lines, but they said V take away 1. Put 1 on the left. And then they put 1 on the right to make it 6. And 7 and 8. And then, of course, you have 10 and so on, So, when used as al-qidamu, it means something in the past. So, but, the Holy Quran says, al-urjunil qadim, the old branch of a date palm. And it also says, lahum qadama sidqin inda rabbihim, chapter 10, verse 2. And that is that they are, in God's eyes, they have the status of Siddiqi. So here, Qadama Sidqin, it means their previous superiority, that they always spoke the truth. Labisa ma qaddamat lahum anfusuhum, chapter 5, verse 80. And whatever they have sent for themselves is not good. Now you can see that there is past and future involved. What we do here, it goes into the past. What I did yesterday, that's the past. But its consequence or result may not be apparent until the hereafter. And this is how the word is used here. In chapter 2, verse 95, Bima qaddamat aydihim, what their hands have sent previously. So, although what they did was in the past, its result is in the future. Then we have yaqdumu qawmahu yawm al-qiyamat. On the day of judgment, he will be in front. He'll lead his people. And la tuqaddimu bayna yadayillahi wa rasulihi, chapter 49, verse 1. Don't butt in. Don't speak before Allah or his prophet. Now, what does it mean here? La tuqaddimu. So what it means is that, do what they command you to do. It can also stand for don't add in extra things and think you're becoming holier. Instead of 5, don't say 10 prayers a day and think I'm much holier, I pray 10 times a day. So it can also be taken to mean that. So it applies muqaddama. is another word that comes from this, and it means the beginning, the start of anything. The beginning of a book generally has a chapter, and it's called Muqaddama. It basically summarizes the sort of book. And Qaddama, as I said, um, to proceed forward, to march forward, and so on. And by God saying what their hands have sent before them, obviously means our deeds. And I've already explained that the deeds are in the past, but the result is in the future. So the next word we are going to do is Aydihim. And it's root, triliteral root is Ya Dal Ya. And it occurs 120 times in the Holy Quran, and meaning hand. But hand is not literally hand in all places where it's used. I mean, here, as I've just explained, it says what their hands have sent before. Their hands, it means their deeds. Although literally it is what their hands have sent before, it actually stands for deeds, what they've done. And a lot of the times, as I say to you, pronouns are added to nouns. For example, we have Maula, master. We have Maulvi, my master. Maulana, our master. Now, the ya and na, they're added at the end of Maula to show which noun belongs to which pronoun, to whom. So that may look different. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that they may look different, but it's actually the same word. Bi-a-di-kum in chapter 2, verse 195. With your hands. With B. B is with. And kum at the end, your. So him. This was Aidikum. Him in chapter 2, verse 95. This chapter, their hands. So, although literally it means hand, as the thing at the end of your wrist, but it means status, majesty, control, ownership, means help, protection, skill. But then it's also used for embarrassment. So, you have to be careful. You have to be careful with the use of all words in the Holy Quran, because and be clear what the context is before you translate it. Because obviously, you see, the thing is this, that it's a book of guidance. If you are not clear about the context of a word and you mistranslate it or misapply it, then you're going to give the wrong message. etc. I mean, here the Holy Quran says, um, Haza, sorry, this is not in the Holy Quran, this is just an Arabic sentence. Haza fi yadi fala. Fala means someone. You know, it's like you go to court, you present your case to the judge, you come out, your client says, what do you think? And you say, well, I've done my best, I've used all my skill and eloquence and everything. Now it is in his hands. And that means that, he has the power of deciding against you or for you in his hands. That verse of the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 237, Illa ayn ya'funa aw ya'fu wallazi biyadihi uqdatin nikah. And if the wives forego the meher, so it is in their hands. They have the control. They may say, okay, I forgo my meher, or they may say that no, I'm going to I demand that you pay me. Another use in chapter 5, verse 11 is humma qawmun ay yab supu ilaykum aydiyahum fakaffa aydiyahum ankum. And when a party wanted to use their hands on you, then he stopped their hands. What does that mean? That means attack you. When someone wanted to attack you, God then stopped them. There is another, it is not a verse of the Quran, it's just an Arabic sentence. Biyadish shimali zimamuha. And the control, and it was in the hands of the north winds, because they're very powerful. Now, obviously, wind doesn't have hands, but what it means is that northern winds are very strong and powerful, and what happens depends on the strength with which they sort of blow, or whatever you want to call it. Again, it's used in it's used in that sense in chapter 38, verse 17. Wazkur abdana Dawuda dhal aid. And remember my servant David, who was powerful, who was mighty. So again, the word literally is who had hands. It's not saying that, he has hands. And then interestingly, we have the verse, Innal lazina yubayi'unaka innama yubayi'una allaha yadullahi fawqa aydihim. Chapter 48, verse 10. Those who are taking the bath, who are swearing the oath of allegiance on your hand, they're doing it on God's hand. Obviously, God doesn't have hands. Metaphorically, God is saying that the Holy Prophet's hands are his hands. So what God is saying is that those people who swore this oath on the Holy Prophet's hand, they have God's support. It's God's support. Another place, the Holy Quran says, chapter 5, verse 11. Iyattuka biruhil qudus. And when I supported you with the Holy Spirit. And again, the same word is used here. But in chapter 2, verse 79, فَوَيْلٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَكْتُبُونَ الْكِتَابَ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ. And it is sad that they write these books with their own hands. So this is literally, obviously, you do the writing with your hand. Our time, I understand, is up. And so I take my leave of you with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.